But I also think, it's not necessarily the best move. But equally, who am I to say?
But if we, I just believe if we never do anything. So, I wonder, will the game go ahead? It'll be interesting. I'll probably go, because there's a chance we'll beat them.
Same parents, different timelines, and united by chaos. Strap on, strap in, for the not-so-Christian brothers.
There was another article today, actually, in the Sunday, or in the English Times.
Are we rolling on this?
About why Ireland is the coolest place in the world to live right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Ireland is the coolest place.
Now, can I just say to you, the last time I left Ireland, which was, I think, 1993.
Right, yeah.
Literally, after I left,
It became the coolest place.
the coolest place ever. And the economy boomed and everything went superb. So now, as I consider a moment of leaving, I read this article in the Times today where they say that Ireland is the coolest place to live. And then they list a whole bunch of reasons why.
Well, give me a few reasons.
Well, one of the reasons that they talk about is our liberal political views and our willingness to kind of speak openly.
Oh, our wokeness.
Yeah, I don't. It's the Times, right? I don't.
They're not going to say wokeness.
They're quite anti kind of wokeness.
Yeah.
But yeah, they talk about celebrity and people living here and Americans coming to live here and British people coming to live here and all that kind of good stuff. So. It's cool and hi, not so Christian brothers. We are not
Irish.
so Christian brothers. We're Irish brothers from Ireland. I'm about to leave. He is staying here forever.
I don't know, actually. Yeah,
Are you thinking about leaving?
I'm
now?
sort of toying with the idea. Maybe in about a year or two, I'm going to sell up and leave.
Any radio stations in any nice warm locations around the world?
Hello, welcome to Radio Valencia. No.
There's a guy. Well, I lived in Spain in 2010, and there was a guy on the English radio station on the south coast of England.
Yeah.
He sounded quite like Jerry Ryan. He was kind of an Irish guy who's apparently been down there for years. I don't know if he's still around or knocking around now, but there's big kind of expat radio shows.
There's a lot of radio stations along Costa del Sol that are English, and they're specifically there for holidaymakers. Energy has a few of them. They have one in Lanzarote, and I've seen the guys. They're all, hey, how you doing? They're all sort of guys that got wasted on independent radio in Leicester and were fired, for messing around with the company secretary sexually. And
not just
in case there was any doubt there.
and then they ended up in the Costa del Sol.
they weren't just playing Monopoly or something.
No, I wanted to really put it out there. And that's what got him into trouble. I'd also like to state for the record, this is the first podcast I've done hungover.
You look awful today, yeah.
Brotherly love, huh?
Yeah. No, you do. I mean, you've slightly brushed your hair a bit, but yeah. you do look, and you sound a
sweaty.
bit. You sound a bit raspy. I was running this morning up a hill.
Yeah. Well, I was running from the law. So anything that does happen, I'd like to apologise.
So yeah, Justin Caffrey, Colm Hayes, brothers,
hello.
Same mother, same father. He's got a stage name.
Stage name, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a stage name.
It was
I'm
actually
not cool.
we got the names originally because we all thought we were going to be arrested. Now, how we thought if we were arrested, that by being called Colm Hayes, they were going, all right, you're okay. Or what's your real name? Not telling you. Poof, or they just take the passport. So we all thought in pirate radio, if you had a different name, you were safe, you could hide in the mountains.
Yeah.
I don't know there was no reason for it at all, but anyway, it stuck.
You probably could have 20, 30 years ago. You could have had a pirate name and nobody would have found you. But that's with social media and the way the internet.
Well, that's it. Well, I had a passport, Terry, which said Colm Caffrey. As soon as the cop said, "Show us your passport," I was, I'm done, mate.
But didn't you weren't you able to have bank accounts back in the day in Colm Hayes?
Like, you could have bank accounts back in the day with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, but anything on them at all, yeah.
Yeah, before the whole the general and the money laundering, cab, they ruined everything. Before all of that nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goddamn revenue.
Goddamn revenue.
That's
Morning. You could basically open up an account on the EBS under Mickey Mouse and then Donald Duck or whatever you wanted, and they wouldn't bat an eyelid.
So, on such levels of duplicity and conspiracy. Have you seen the whole thing around Gordon Banks being poisoned in the 1970 World Cup in Mexico?
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just because it's all around the internet at the moment. There's this journalist, isn't he? He's got a 6-part podcast about it.
I only read about it in the Times today.
God, you've done a lot of reading in the Times.
That's what I read every morning.
You need to have a look at the Sun. They've always got the hot one from Love Island on page 3. So Gordon Banks. So apparently it was the CIA who were in cahoots with Brazil. Were supporting their right-wing government down there, wanted them to win the World Cup because then everybody would come out in the streets and go, "God bless you, the government." And they went in and they poisoned Gordon Banks, and Gordon Banks missed the quarter-final, which they lost to West Germany then, wasn't it? Yeah, West Germany. So there's a lot in it. What else did you get? That's all I got.
Well, yeah, but his in this article, his grandson was being interviewed, and his grandson was talking about the fact that his grandfather Gordon Banks was very disciplined in terms of the recommendations that were given to them in the World Cup. So he actually found the documentation from the England team, which had huge levels of specificity around the fact that you can't drink local water, you can't drink alcohol, you can't be out late. So they were quite disciplined, given that it was 1970. And in particular, no beer. But actually, on the night before the game against Argentina, Banks had a beer because there was a deviation from policy, and the manager said to them, "All right, you can all have a beer, but just 1 or 2 beers." So the thought is that somebody dropped something into his beer that night, and Banks always said afterwards that it was the beer. Now, incredibly, Banks's wife was German, and she dismissed it out of hand completely, because originally the concern was that it was the Germans that had actually poisoned him rather than the Americans, because nobody really joined the dots, thinking, why would the Americans want to poison
that? Yeah.
And Americans weren't even interested in the World Cup in 1970, right? Soccer didn't even exist in the States. So the grandson was saying that Banks's wife was always very dismissive of the idea. Banks always felt that his beer was just off and there was something wrong, but he couldn't play. And in the game preceding that, he's considered to have made the greatest save ever against Pele.
They still talk about
say
that.
it's probably the best save ever. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you can Google it. But Banks was an incredible goalkeeper.
Can we put that save while we're talking up on the green screen?
I could put the save.
We're allowed, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay, so we could.
If it's on a public platform, I can share it.
Oh, public platform! Look at you, huh? So it's up there, and amazing. I remember watching that World Cup. You weren't born.
No, I was going to say I don't really remember it, but no, I wasn't born.
Yeah, I was 8, and it was the first time the World Cup was in color, because everyone only had color TV from the moon landing, which was ridiculous because the moon landing was all black and white. But anyway, that's another story.
Or as Terry would say, it was just filmed in a studio.
Yeah. It was done in a barn in Ashford. Yeah, okay. But you can see a cow in the background and a bit of straw on
No comment.
Well, listen, we're knee deep in conspiracy here. But yeah, we used to rush home. I remember being with Dad and Kevin, our uncle, and we used to go out to Gormanstown on a Sunday, and they used to make everyone pack up and rush home so we could watch the World Cup. And it was amazing to watch it in colour. And that was one of the best Brazilian teams of all time that I remember. And I saw the Gordon Banks save, and now reading about it. It's just mad that the CIA would go that far. But then when Brazil, I think it was Brazil and Ecuador played in a qualifier for the World Cup back in the 70s, and Ecuador won on penalties, and Brazil reckoned they cheated. The next day, Brazil moved tanks into Ecuador. It was the one-day war, and it was a consequence of a football game. So, like, people who say politics and sport don't mix, of course they do. Huge.
Unquestionably. I mean, I think you can even go back to the genesis of, like, Ireland and our growth in our economy to the 1990 World Cup.
Totally, yeah. Jack's Army.
Like, Jack's Army, I think for, like, I remember Euro 88, the European Championships in 1988 was the first time that we ever had any kind of belief in ourselves. And then the 1990 World Cup, the place was just euphoric. And I think
crazy.
we all just got a sense of, well, maybe we're not actually just, downtrodden
Slaves.
Slaves. As
Yeah,
we have
basically
been.
downtrodden European slaves.
Yeah.
That the slaves rebelled thanks to an Englishman,
Yeah.
Saint Jack.
I think at our core, we are, basically just an itinerant nation, right? I think
Totally. Yeah.
but we're getting better at being, getting a few quid and getting into the world, right?
We're becoming clever itinerants.
Clever and itinerants.
Yeah.
But we are
God
different.
loves a clever itinerant, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I think we are different to most other nations, right? Because we didn't have rights to land, we didn't own property. We were under huge levels of suppression for a long time. So I think in our DNA, like there's a lot of really good studies into this kind of epigenetic impact, and they study a lot with African Americans where the consequences of slavery are still relevant today. And you find a lot of black people are fearful of dogs because dogs were used against their parents and their grandparents. So it actually becomes programmed into our DNA.
So that's why I'm fearful of Protestants
And English people.
Yeah.
I'm just generally not good with English rule in any shape or form.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
why
in our DNA.
I had to leave for tax reasons from the UK.
Okay.
I couldn't pay the Queen.
You couldn't pay the Queen's dollar tax. So talking about politics, right, and football and soccer and sports and everything, Ireland obviously played Qatar the other night in soccer. It was last week, and a protest erupted by loads of people throwing tennis balls onto the pitch. Two things. One is why tennis balls, and secondly, how did they all bring them in? Surely they were, and thirdly, some shop made a fortune that night on tennis balls because there was about 15,000 tennis balls. And on average, you buy 3 tennis balls.
Have you looked that up?
yeah, statistically, yeah. Well, the tube's in 6 tennis balls. So there was blokes who clearly looked like they've never played tennis in their life, going into a sports shop going, I'll take 17 tubes of tennis balls. Now, the guy behind the counter should have alerted the Gardaí at that moment, going, there's a very suspicious looking bloke coming in buying tennis balls, and he doesn't play tennis. I can tell.
And he's from Central Dublin and a heroin addict at the same time.
I can tell by his tracksuit. Oh, really? Just another tennis ball, man. And then they just threw them onto the pitch.
So Luca told me what this tennis ball thing was about before, but I can't remember now.
There's some game originally that happened, which means if you want to protest at Wimbledon, right? Do you throw soccer balls on?
Nice.
I've thought about this.
No, you at Wimbledon you just tut.
Okay. But if you really want to protest, and you call them Cliff Richard, Cliff over here. But Richie Sadler made a really good point about the game. Sorry, the reason for the protest was that we're going to play in the autumn. Republic of Ireland are playing Israel in soccer. A lot of people are saying we shouldn't really have Israel over here in the stadium. Blah blah blah. They came second in the Eurovision Song Contest with an awful song.
Not the same team.
That
was their singing. This is their football
It's
team.
all the same. They all come from the same little factory in Israel. How we can promote Israel on the international stage as nice blokes, and they paid off everybody to come to the second place in the Eurovision Song Contest with an awful song. I don't think they should be allowed into the stadium. I think what we're doing is we're sending out the exact signal that Israel want us to send out, which is, it's all right. It's all right. Just the Palestinian lads, they're acting up a bit. Sure, you wouldn't really miss 150,000 of them and a couple of kids, So I have a huge problem with it.
Are you going to go and throw tennis balls?
No, I'm going to... that'll be hit an Israeli with a tennis ball. It's a new competition. I just think our footballing organisation has absolutely no balls, and they won't, and because they're afraid of sanctions. So what? They're afraid of sanctions. You're making a statement. We're saying we're not happy with you guys coming over here, while this football team, you're supporting genocide back in your country.
I think there's I don't have an issue with Israel as a country or with Jewish people. I do have an issue with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
And I do have an issue with a lot of the people in his government. But I also think we have to be very cognizant of the fact that in Ireland, if we continue down the path that we're on, and I think we've made some very clear statements. I think it's well recognized at this stage that we're operating at a different level in terms of other countries. But I saw Micheál Martin give a strong defence of the government position in the Dáil. Micheál Martin being our Taoiseach, which is our Prime Minister, giving a strong position on this in the Dáil, and recognising and speaking to some of the other deputies, MPs.
Your man Murphy, you meant the people before profit.
People before profit. That we cannot be under any illusion that if we have aggressive sanctions, like it's one thing to say and to stand up and to speak, it's another thing to actually say we want to stop receiving goods, we want to stop engaging with firms connected to Israel, because every single component part of the US system has a connection to Israel, and so do all the tech companies. They're all connected.
No,
to
I know, but that's why
are you
Nazi
happy
Germany got so far as it did, because it had so many connections.
But are you happy for your kids to lose their jobs?
I prefer this for them to lose their jobs than to lose their lives.
Okay,
and that's what's happening. But I think it's not just Ireland.
How would your kids lose their lives? You mean
no? Because there's kids losing their lives every day in Palestine because we are basically, and let's not be. I'll be straight with this. We are supporting the Israeli government by not doing anything. You're supporting, okay? And that's the way they look at it.
I think we're the only nation that's actually stood up to the Israeli government.
Micheál Martin standing up, going, lads, somebody might lose their jobs. Is not support. Is not sanctioning.
If you go back to like 2010, 2009, when lots of people lost their jobs, male suicide was off the curve.
That's a consequence.
The impact on the Irish economy would be huge.
Absolutely.
So ordinary people who are trying to make ends meet can't afford for the government to put them in a position where they lose their job.
Okay,
if Meta left, if Google left.
No, 2 points here. 2 points here is if European nations had the balls, right? Governments had the balls to stand up, all of them together, united, and say, I'm sorry, we're sanctioning Israel and everything that comes in. If every country in Europe did that, right, across the EU. But most governments have been bought by Israel. And I would put that to Ireland as well. They have been bought. There's money being ploughed into governments, into organizations, into NGOs, into all this sort of stuff from the Israeli government to buy the support. So it's not that we're not supporting. We are supporting Israel. And the simple thing is, and I saw Seamus Coleman coming out and Richie Sadler, and he said, in 4 months' time, the president of Ireland is going to have to shake hands with one of the Israeli dignitaries who sanctioned her sister being tortured after she was taken off the flotilla in international waters. How can she do that? I don't think she will. But I just think any level of support, I just think it's wrong. And yeah, I think that you're saying the consequences are somebody might lose their job in Cork.
That's that's highly diminutive of what I'm saying.
I thought that's what you said.
The consequences for the Irish economy are huge, and it's not somebody might lose their job in Cork. We could have a major impact on our economy and our young people, and we could be back to 2010. And the thing is, you have to actually move this a few steps.
But are you happy then?
You have to move this a few steps forward, right? If you say that you want to do that, and then people lose their jobs, well, what happens is you get large levels of unemployment, and then you end up with a right-wing government who will then realign itself back with the same process. Like, this is the same thing that's proven over and over again. We end up going right because we're going to have high levels of unemployment.
So you're afraid to do the right thing because of the consequences of doing the right thing.
I'm not afraid to do the right thing. That'd be ridiculous.
But that's what we're doing.
No,
we're not.
I am just citing the fact that if you intentionally believe that stepping into this breach is going to change Israeli policy, you're off your rocker because they're not going to do anything.
I think the people in power are full of bullshit right across Europe. I'm sorry, I think they are.
Yeah, I know, but I think they also know that they can't change it. Like,
but I think if
we're not a dominant force.
No,
the Chinese are dominant,
European
the Americans are dominant, the Israelis are dominant.
If all European nations came together, then it's a dominant force. Like it took one guy to get his apple cart knocked over for the Arab Spring to occur. It sometimes takes just one action to start the movement. You know, it always takes one ripple for the movement.
The European nations aren't going to come together. Germany is very strong supporter of Israel for many
for bizarre reasons,
but they are. So that's not going to happen. And the challenge is, you know, it's all very easy for you in your 60s or for me in my 50s. We're in privileged positions to say, tell the Israelis to get lost and we'll suffer the consequences. But for young people who have large mortgages and high levels of exposure, the Irish economy is so fragilely exposed. The exposure that we have to tech is huge. Like even the layoffs in the last few weeks in AI are really concerning. I mean, there's really interesting articles being written on the impact of what we're starting to see in the jobs market. And yesterday when I parked my car and I came home, I met a director of a recruitment company. I just had the exact same conversation with him. You know, they're seeing the fact that there's a shift in terms of young people being brought into the workforce. You know, the UK last week, we're talking about 1 million young people who are in this NEET category, not in education or employment or training.
But this is bullshit.
Oh, it's not if you're suffering from it.
No, because we are allowing things globally occur and happen because we're putting it on the left or right hand side of a balance sheet, and if people in power don't stand up and do something, the bullies will win, and that's what's happening. And I'm going to be honest. I don't care about the economy. I don't care.
That's because you're in your mid-60s.
No. It's because I have values. I have moral values. I would be like this in my 20s as well, or my 30s. I just think when we stand and we allow a government like the Netanyahu's and that just absolutely bomb, genocide, kids, toddlers, everything, we're on the wrong side of history. We're going to be on the wrong, and economists, our economics, our people. I don't necessarily think people will lose their jobs. I think there are consequences whereby we can make situations occur economically where we know that this is coming down the line and we can be strategic about it. But I think if we just do nothing, I think Richie Sadler's right. We have to, just a tiny thing, we have to be the first ripple. We have to say, we're not happy with what you're doing. We're not happy. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Look,
I'd jump on a flotilla tomorrow if I could. You'd welcome that.
I think it wouldn't be a bad thing. I think. Look, life is difficult, and you know, making a stand is always challenging. I'm not for one second saying I agree with what goes on in Gaza, or I agree with how the Americans behave around the world. I don't. But I also think, you know, it's not necessarily the best move. But equally, who am I to say?
But if we, I just believe if we never do anything. So, I wonder, will the game go ahead? It'll be interesting. I'll probably go, because there's a chance we'll beat them.
Anything to see a good old Irish win.
Yeah. You'll get good seats because it'll be empty. And we did beat Qatar 1-0. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So the weather, right? I'm just thinking as well. Let's go on to something a little bit lighter. Have you ever been on a nudist beach?
I've been nude on a beach.
Well, that's against the law, by the way.
It's not like
explain that to your honour.
So I'd often swim, especially during COVID, up on the North Beach in Greystones.
Right.
You can go so the North Beach has a dead end, right? So you have to walk 2.5 kilometers, and then you come to a wall, and you can't go any further.
Right.
So in the summertime, I'll often walk up there
naked.
No, I'll have clothes on, and then I'll strip off and hop into the water. It's quite nice to go for a swim naked.
Oh, I've done skinny dipping, yeah. And then when you come out, like, people wouldn't know that you're naked when you come out because everything will have shriveled. And as we found out last week, your grooming abilities, everything would just be covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I generally tend to kind of swim when there's nobody going to be around. So you can also see 2.5 kilometers down the beach.
Yeah. And so do people go up there and take their knickies off and jump in?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone up there as a kind of a swinging exercise. I've probably just done it myself.
Yeah.
But I would imagine I'm not the only person who's actually, in fairness, Our dog fell off the cliff
What?
last week. Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. I was
Did he fall or was he pushed? He fell off a cliff.
fell off a cliff. So I was walking the dog, and there's a cliff that runs on the top of that beach,
Yeah.
and I couldn't find him. And then I had to get Luca, my son, to go and have a run down that beach because I thought, well, maybe he's fallen off the cliff.
Oh my
and,
God.
And he found him.
And was he
her.
okay? Was she okay?
She was okay. Yeah.
Did she fall completely down?
I'm not too sure because I don't really know where she went down.
Jesus.
And it's probably about like 40 foot. Like it's
Well, she obviously climbed down.
Had she a couple of scratches or anything on her cuts?
not really, no. But she's quite adventurous.
She is a hardy old dog.
She's a hardy one.
But she can't fall, a dog can't fall 40 feet and survive.
Well, I'd say she probably scrambled as she went down.
Bounced.
But he then was running up the beach to find her, and then he saw somebody who was naked. Coming out of the water. Yeah. So it's not just me.
Right, okay.
But I think nudist beaches are fine. I mean, my mother-in-law who listens to this show.
Morning.
Hi, Angela. You know, as I understand it.
Okay, be careful now.
I'm getting into dangerous waters here, but
she is clearly naked.
she would have been at a nudist beach. I mean, they're German, right? So
Germans love a good nudist
I
beach.
think everybody in Germany goes around naked.
I can imagine seeing them in post offices just naked. Going,
Yeah.
I like the wind flowing through me.
I've actually a good story. Actually, I have a few stories. For
But just
He's lining up stories for Sunday.
put my wife.
How do we know that he'd have stories about being nude? Go on.
Yeah, that's guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Go on.
He's
Sorry,
always nude in the lower regions of his feet, anyway. Look at his toes.
Still 15.5.
But my wife is kind of like slightly traumatized by it, so she's
Traumatized
never,
by her mother running around naked.
Yeah, so she could never quite deal with being at the and she was a young teenager at the nudist beach. And would have been very self-conscious. So, you know, in terms of, although my wife is German, I'm far more kind of, you know, free-flowing and open with my nakedness walking around the house than she would be. She'd still be
walking around the house.
Yeah.
Like, what if a bloke knocked at the door?
Well, he'd get to see what a real man looks like.
Why? Is there another guy living in your house? Jesus. Hey, here you go, buddy. Just hang it on that. I've got no hands free.
DHL this, baby.
You need a bigger truck.
I remember years ago, Anne and myself walked onto a nudist beach by mistake because there was a storm. It was in Portugal, and there was a storm, and the sign that said nudist beach was blown away. So we were going for this walk, and we walked down, and suddenly there was just guys, just as like you answering your door, just walking around. But there was one guy, and this is for real, and he was beach casting. So he was fishing in the nude, right? And it was a stormy day, so we came up sort of behind him.
Don't know where the storm is going. Hey, matron.
And did you get hold of his rod?
All that Anne could see was him holding this big, huge thing, right? And she went, "This is a nudist beach." And I went, "No, that's a beach caster." But it looked like he had a 15-foot dick. Because that's all you could see. And then we exited the beach pretty fast. So I'm not into... Can I say something? Except for your mother-in-law, obviously, Angela, who's a beautiful woman. Most people on nudist beaches are ugly. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, well, I think maybe that's through the purview of you know Ireland, right? I think
Because we're such a good-looking race.
yeah, well, we're just not really made for being seen with our clothes off, right?
I was there nudist beaches in Ireland.
We're pasty and red. There is, yeah.
There
I'm
is,
talking
yeah,
to
yeah.
Portugal.
No, I have one here lined up for the after show.
Should we go nude for the after show? Wow, the nude podcast. You could cut out our Twizzly bits with
Good out your Twitter.
you could pixelate our dicks.
Yeah, but
Great name for a podcast.
I do think there's probably you know a higher level of people who are getting naked to see other people naked, whereas a lot of people are into just the whole kind of free living.
Yeah. I think if you go onto a nudist beach to get a little bit of a how's your father, you know, then you should be chucked off. I think it is just to sort of float around. I mean, we're nude a lot of the time, you know. I mean, you know.
All right.
Well, hang on, you answer the door. Yeah.
So
Is that us, really? Is it?
That's I think that's it. We'll leave
right.
it-
So
let's leave it there.
send us your comments, right? Should we be cancelled because of our views on the Israeli Ireland football game?
Well, we've very varying, degree of you're on one side, I'm on the other, so that's good. Balanced.
Would you like to get naked?
You asking me?
I'm
asking the viewers.
Okay. yeah.
On a beach in Ireland.
Would you like to get naked on a beach in Ireland?
And do you know Gordon Banks, or did you poison him?
All right, be poison. Are you a member of the CIA?
Oh God, it'd be great to get a member of the CIA on.
Yeah.
Like we are listened to in our watched in the States.
Yeah, we are.
Actually, CIA are everywhere. They're probably next door in the charity shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm in the CIA.
And that is Not So Christian Brothers. Thanks for watching. We got a very exciting after show coming up on Sunday because Terry wants to talk about being nude.